Good morning, everybody. It is Thomas and Brian back again with another edition of our bi-weekly live Q&A, where we have our everyone's favorite video host and aquatics enthusiast, Thomas, here to answer your aquatics questions. So hopefully you guys came prepared. Put your questions in the chat right now, because the sooner it gets in there, the more chance we have of actually getting to it. We do get flooded with questions, and we can't always get to everything. So get them in there now, and we will try and get to them one by one. For those of you new to this, we do go sequentially. We don't just pick at random. We do go in sequence. So get it in there now. If you do have a super important question you need answered, there is always the super chat function, in which case, if you are so kind as to support us in that way, we will jump you to the front of the queue and answer your question. But otherwise, sequentially. How you doing, man?
I'm good.
Yeah?
Awesome.
We had a productive morning.
We did.
This is not our first video today.
I have some water on my shirt. You probably can't see it, but I've already been wet today.
He's been busy. We've
Yes.
been busy shooting a setup video, a how-to vid. So we got that on the horizon. Be working on that. What else we got on the horizon? I mean, how's your studio doing? How's the house?
Okay, so now I've never dealt with insurance before, but to my understanding, everything's been like gutted and prepared for renovation.
Yeah.
So they're at the stage where they're ready to start rebuilding the basement and making it the studio that it once was. However, insurance apparently usually takes a while to actually get everything approved, even though, like, I've been told by my adjuster that I'm going to be covered for everything that was damaged down there. But it takes a while for the actual approval process and for then the funds to go through. But once that happens,
once you're through all the red tape,
then they can start rebuilding the basement, which they think will only take about 2 weeks of time, which isn't really that much, but they're expecting it to take upwards of a month for everything to get finalized. So it's gonna happen. It's just a matter of when. And yeah. It'll happen. For now, we're just shooting at Brian's house.
Yeah, we just shot up in my main floor, which I do miss the studio, like the atmosphere surrounded by all the aquatic stuff. So again, bear with us as we shoot these videos where we can for the time being, but we are still pumping out stuff for you guys to see. So
yes,
that's good.
That is the important part.
That is the important part. What else? We have a cool new toy.
Yay!
That we were able to acquire, thanks much in part to you guys and the support that you guys show us every day. Something that we're going to, once we have the studio back up and running, we get the mega build going again. It's going to be super cool, and a couple other big builds that we have on the horizon. Something that's going to be really, really cool to film with is we got a new GoPro Fusion 360 camera. So this guy, we're gonna be able to actually put in the tank. We got like a suction cup that we can actually put it on the inside of the tank, and you guys are gonna get 360 views inside our builds. And we can use it as a regular GoPro too and do a lot of cool stuff. So I just wanted to say thank you guys so much for all your support that you show us. We're gonna keep trying to bring really awesome, unique, crazy cool content to you guys. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
With that said, we should jump into the questions, I think.
Let's do
Anything
it.
else we're missing? Anything else I forgot?
I think we're ready to go. That's it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, let's get to it. Hopefully the chat hasn't refreshed and we're not missing anyone's questions. No, we're good. Okay, I'm cycling my tank and it is very clear. Bacteria bloom happened on day 3 and cleared up on day 4. It's been about 2 to 3 weeks and ammonia still has not gone down. I used TetraSafe Start Plus. I don't see an actual question in there, but maybe he's just looking for general guidance.
Okay, so ammonia should dissipate and you should start seeing nitrates sooner than later. When you're cycling, test for ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate, because that'll give you a good window into what's actually going on. You should see a large buildup of ammonia, and as that starts to go down, you're going to see nitrite, and then quickly thereafter, you should start seeing nitrate, and it'll kind of just move from being a lot of ammonia to a lot of nitrate, and then you shouldn't really see ammonia or nitrate in the system, really. The other thing is when you're getting that bacterial bloom started, and getting the bacteria seeded into the aquarium and into your biomedia, it's pretty important that you continuously add whatever bioload you're going to be adding. So if you're using just pure ammonia, like just ammonia into the tank to then go over, you need to consistently be adding that ammonia on a daily basis to represent the bioload you're going to be putting in the tank in livestock. And then once the filter's gotten to a point where it's actually able to convert all that ammonia, then you're good. What I've used in the past is just flake food. Like I will just throw in flake food every single day until the tank is cycled. It's going to do roughly the same thing, but once you start seeing that nitrate building up and that ammonia going down, you know you're starting to get to where you want to be, and then eventually the ammonia should be zero. Sometimes it takes longer than you'd expect, especially when you're doing like a fishless cycle, and if you're not consistent with it, because then the bacteria is not getting that food in a consistent amount of time, consistently over a period of time, so that you're getting that population built up and sustaining it. Because you also don't want to be in a situation where you've put all this effort into getting this bacterial population started, and then you stop feeding for 3 or 4 days, and then it starts to shrink again because there isn't that bio load to keep it going. But I would suspect you're probably only about a week maybe away from completing your cycle. But yeah, test all three: ammonia, nitrate, and that'll give you a better idea of where you're sitting.
Cool. Next up, should I do Driftwood, in your opinion, I guess, should I do Driftwood or Dragonstone for a Fluval Flex 15 Aquascape?
Depends. If you like rocks or wood, really is up to you.
What would you use?
Okay, I'll give you the pros and cons of both. Dragonstone is a very porous, with large pores, and it's very easy for things to get trapped in it, so there's some maintenance involved. You want to be able to use a power head or something to blow the debris out of the rocks whenever you do water changes. The nice thing with it is it doesn't deteriorate, so it's going to stay the same for years and years and years and years, and it won't release tannins or anything into the water, which is where we start to get into the trials and tribulations of driftwood. Not only do you have to pre-soak it so that it sinks, you also want to try to get as much tannin out of it as possible up front through pre-soaking. You'll still probably get some tannins in your water. Whether or not that's an issue for you is usually personal preference. The nice thing about driftwood is those tannins will, keep the aquarium a little bit more on the acidic side if that's what you're trying to do. But driftwood slowly over time deteriorates. The exterior layer of driftwood will just continuously kind of flake off over time, and it creates this kind of dark brown mulm that you get in the tank over time. Now that can take a few years to start happening. Depending on the wood, it could be even faster than that. And like driftwood, in my opinion, has a life expectancy. Like usually after about 5 years, you want to try replacing it, because you'll just get your hands on it and you'll feel that it's turned into a sponge essentially, especially on the outer layer. But yeah, it really depends on those things. Do you want something that's going to last forever, possibly trap debris that you're going to have to suck out of it every water change, but otherwise not affect the system at all? Or do you want something that's going to give you the benefit of more acidic water, if that's something you're aiming for, the benefit of tannins, or detriment, depending on whether or not that's something you're aiming for, and something that will essentially have a life expectancy and not last forever? Your decision. Let me know what you do.
Someone says, I can't wait for Thomas's Pantene commercial to drop.
Whoa!
I think better herbal essences.
Herbal essences. Could you imagine me in the shower with a bottle of herbal essences, just losing my mind?
I don't want to. They do, though.
Oh. We'll I appreciate all the... I've been working hard at making sure this hair comes in right.
We were just talking this morning, like it's not long enough yet that you can actually like, put it back or up in a bun or something like that, so it's not always in your... Because when we're shooting vids and you have to like lean over a tank or over a canister filter, it's all in your face.
It's tough. Like I can get this much of it back, but then there's still some parts that will like fall down and stuff and whatever. I'm rocking it like this for now. I think once it's like clavicle... collarbone, for those who don't know what clavicle is. Collarbone length, I'll probably be able to get it back. But then again, who would want to do that? I'll just be like, that's me walking down the street. People think there's something wrong.
We'll do a super slow-mo vid with your phone of you just waving your hair back and forth.
Yeah, flailing my hair around.
Hello, good morning from San Diego.
Good morning!
Okay, here's a longer one. How do you cycle an aquarium?
I kind of just went through that a bit. So we kind of just talked about...
But you can just like step one, step two, like real quick.
All right, so step one, you get the tank set up, get the filter running. Once it's running, the biomedia is in the filter. Step two is to add a food source for the bacteria and the bacteria itself. It's a lot faster if you use a bacterial additive. So you put the bacterial additive in, give it a minute, and add a food source. It could be ammonia, it could be flake food, it could be a piece of shrimp from your grocery store, whatever it is you're going to use. And this is assuming you're doing a fishless cycle. You can also cycle an aquarium with fish. It's not the easiest thing to do. It can be dangerous for the fish. It's not highly recommended. Let's just say that. So you start testing after about a week for ammonia, nitrite, and nitrate. You want to test, I would say, once a week, continuously putting in your food source or your ammonia source. If you throw a big piece of shrimp in, that's just going to take the entire cycle to deteriorate, and it'll still be there when your cycle's done. So you don't really have to worry about that as much with something like that. And then once you see your ammonia dropping, nitrite has increased and nitrate is beginning to form, you know you're getting close to the end of the cycle. You'll see ammonia essentially drop to zero. Nitrate, same thing, will essentially be zero, and you'll have an abundance of nitrate. That is when your cycle is over. That is when it is safe to start adding livestock to the aquarium, at which point you would stop adding your ammonia or food source, or if there's a big piece of shrimp in there, you take it out, get the fish in, and then they are your bioload, and you start feeding them. And that's basically it.
Done deal.
We'll do a video on it at some point.
We really should. Yeah. That should be a priority.
As soon as that studio is done,
we should do a.
We'll do it up.
Yeah. That's taking us a while. We should get to that. Okay.
Yeah. We have builds that we could obviously.
Yeah.
As soon as we're ready.
Okay. Fantastic. I have a 10-gallon, well-planted tank with a centerpiece dwarf gourami. Do you think I could try to add shrimp?
Dwarf gourami might try to nip them. Might think they're food. I would say if you're going to do shrimp, don't do anything super small. I would do like full-grown Amano shrimp, and you'll probably be fine. But like cherry shrimp or something might get nabbed. So be careful.
All right. What's the best catfish for a 10-gallon?
That's a good question. I guess it depends. You could probably do a few dwarf cory cats. I mean, 10 gallons is not a ton of space for them, but like a few panda cories, like the teeny tiny little guys that don't get very big, they'd probably be okay. A coolie loach would probably be fine. Not really a catfish, but same idea, bottom feeder. Yeah.
Cool.
Banjo catfish, if you want something really weird that you basically won't see very often and doesn't move very much.
Why is it really weird? I don't know the fish. Why is it weird?
Banjo catfish? Yeah. It's like if a prune got stretched out. You should look it up and you'll see. If a prune got stretched out, was brown, and had like fins, and its face was on the top of its head.
I'm gonna look that up later. That sounds
they're weird little catfish.
Weird. Yeah.
I loved oddball fish when I started keeping aquariums as a young adult, and I found so many weird ones.
But if you rarely see it, I guess it's kind of a treat then when you do see it, right?
Yeah, like so that's one of the things, especially with like Raphael cats and stuff like that. There are fish you can put in your tank that won't be out all the time, but that's what makes them special. Mm-hmm. So when you do see them, you're like, oh, there it is. That's the one. And even with reef keeping, it's the same thing. There are wrasses and different types of fish you'll get, and you will almost never see them. Marine betas are like that. Not a beta. But they love being hidden in rockwork. So you won't see them until you feed, and then even when you do, a lot of the time it's just like this flash, and then it's gone. And you're like, where'd that go? You're like, at least it's alive. But yeah, no, it's a treat to see them like that.
Sweet. How do I rise my alkalinity and pH without baking soda?
What? So here's the thing with pH and alkalinity. You can't, maybe you can, but as far as I understand science, you can't really have a high pH and a low alkalinity, and vice versa. You can't really have a high alkalinity and a low pH. They kind of go hand in hand, which is why a lot of buffers for pH are alkalinity buffers. They're not just a pH up. So you could add a base to the tank, right? So the opposite of an acid. You could add a base to the tank. One very popular one is pH up. It's literally a product called pH up. And it will raise the pH, but if you do not buffer the pH with alkalinity, so something to raise the actual carbonate hardness, your pH just goes back down because there's nothing to keep it raised up. It just drops. So you need to kind of do both. So if you're going to raise your pH and alkalinity, get a solid product like from CCAM or something like that, and find, like, there are different products. So there are buffers that will go up to 9. There are buffers that will kind of help fix it at, let's say, 7.5 or 8.0 or 8.5 or whatever the heck. Whatever you're aiming for, find the appropriate product and just use that. You'll save yourself a lot of headache and math. If you don't like math and you don't like headaches, just get the right product and don't mess around with baking soda and like pickling lime and stuff.
I'm more of a convenience guy myself. I'll do the simple thing. I'll go buy what works rather than try.
Stuff's not like terribly expensive or anything either.
Yeah.
But no, I get it. Like I used to dose baking soda in my reef. Not the stuff I got pharmaceutical grade stuff. I didn't go buy the stuff from the grocery store.
Grab it from
hey! No, but no, it's just easier to get the right stuff.
Cool. Mary S with a super chat.
Yo!
Thank you so much, Mary. Awesome.
Mary, you rock.
She says, "Good morning from rural Ontario, Canada."
Woo!
Good morning.
I'm from Ontario.
Me too. I have tiny pests in my cherry shrimp tank. They swim like BBS in a squiggles, like BBS in a squiggles. My shrimp and guppy grass seem unaffected. So should I treat the problem?
I would not be surprised. Now, I don't know how easy they are to see, but shrimp go through a larval stage, a free swimming stage. Most shrimp. I'm sure freshwater shrimp do too. So it could be that. It could be water fleas, which is essentially Daphnia. Like, it's not going to hurt anything. So if it's not bothering you, just don't worry about it.
Great.
Yeah. I've had all kinds of weird things pop up in tanks over time. Like, I've had springtails.
Yes. Yeah, those are cool.
Springtails. I've had water fleas. I've had bloodworms literally show up in a tank. I don't know where they came from, but they did. I've what else have I had? Little white worms, nematodes of some kind, or Nemertian worms. I don't know what they're called. Anyways, long story short, lots of stuff that has not been detrimental in any way, shape, or form, and either the fish end up eating it or the population just sustains itself in a certain size because that's what your tank allows for. Sometimes the only way to end that is to just start over and have a rigorous screening process. If you use well water because you're in rural Ontario, you have a higher likelihood of having weird things come in because your well doesn't have chlorine in it. So even though you have all kinds of filtration systems, water softeners, RODI filtration, iron filters, etc., to take your well water and make it more palatable so you can use it at home safely, UV sterilizers, what have you, there are still small chances that things are going to get through, and that could be what's happening. If you ever take plants out of a local river or stream or whatever, don't do it, and then put that in your tank, that could do it. So yeah, just as long as it's not causing problems, don't fret.
Awesome, because fretting is the worst.
Unless you're playing guitar, then it's necessary.
You have to. You must. Otherwise, what are you doing?
Yes.
What's better, Daphnia or brine shrimp?
Depends on what you're feeding. Baby brine shrimp and Daphnia are similar in size, but full-size brine shrimp, if you're feeding larger fish, you don't want to feed them something tiny. It's better to feed them something that's appropriately sized for their face hole. So yeah, no, it just depends on what you're feeding.
Speaking of feeding, how do I know if I'm overfeeding?
Are your fish obese? No, I'm just kidding. That's actually one way. There are some fish that will get a lot fatter than they need to be, and they can get like fatty liver disease or whatever. If your fish aren't like overweight looking, which is a thing, and if you're not having issues maintaining water quality, then what you're feeding is likely okay, whatever amount you're currently feeding. If you're having a hard time keeping your nitrates in check, or there's a lot of uneaten food, like you feed the tank and then there's the fish eat, but then there's a whole bunch wasted on the bottom, or if your fish are just way fatter than what they should look like are just literally carrying much too much body fat, then you might be overfeeding.
All right, what do you feed Cory fry?
I don't know. Never reared Cory fry.
Really?
Never.
Okay.
Never done it.
Oh, well then...
Yeah, I'm not sure. We do have... Throw up our support team at the office.
Yeah, sure.
I wouldn't be surprised if one of them have reared Cory fry.
Okay, I will...
I've never done it. I just don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, but I would assume that they eat probably the same things that the adults eat, just in smaller sizes. So, yeah. Anytime I'm dealing with fry that I was... Oh, by the way... while we're on the topic, so the low tech planet tank, I ended up putting white cloud mountain minnows in.
Right. Yep.
I have fry in that tank.
Really?
Yeah, they bred. I didn't see it happen.
Cool.
Right? And I was feeding one day, and I'm like, what is this floating at the surface of the water? I'm like, mosquito larvae, probably. Nope, they're baby fish.
Awesome.
So I've just been crushing.
Congratulations, you're a grandpa.
Yay! So I've just been crushing flake food for them. If they survive, great. If they don't, I didn't notice them nearly soon enough to like do anything about it. Really.
Right. Well,
and quite frankly, with the studio in the way it is right now, taking them out is just not feasible. So hopefully some of them survive. I have 10 adults. If I start seeing other little fish in there, I know some of them made it. Yeah.
What's your favorite fish? That's a very hard question to answer.
That's so tough. I'll tell you the one fish that I liked enough to tattoo on my body. Asian arowana. Always loved them.
Right.
Absolutely loved them. And at the time, I was like, do I buy a fish I could potentially kill that costs thousands of dollars, or do I spend a couple $100 on a tattoo and commemorate my love for them?
I think you made the right decision.
Yeah, me too. For now, anyways.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Asian arowana is probably my favorite fish and always has been. But what I like or am interested in changes like drastically over time because I think one of the appeal to different types of fish for me is learning about them, right? So once I've kept a fish for a certain period of time and I feel like I've been able to enjoy and learn more about their habits and requirements and the quirks and all of that, and I've absorbed and learned about that fish enough, I kind of, not that my appreciation for them disappears, it's the same, it's just my interest in them goes down because I've found out so much about them, and then I find something else that I know less about more interesting because I have that drive to learn about it. So yeah, it always changes. It's an ever evolving thing, but the arowana is always going to be near and dear to my heart. Yeah. I've always just been fascinated with them. Even silvers are just incredible. Any of the bony tongues are awesome. Arapema, jeez.
Just the look in your eyes.
Oh, they're awesome. They're awesome fish. Anyways,
this is a pretty vague question, pretty large topic, I would imagine. But how do you keep catfish? Are there like certain?
Well, in the fridge until you're ready to prepare it for dinner.
Moving on.
Yeah, no, it's the same as any other fish, and it really depends on the catfish. Like, if we're talking gulper catfish, like those megamouth catfish that literally eat things the same size as them or sometimes bigger, I don't know how they do it, stretchy tummies. You obviously are going to keep that catfish differently than you keep a cory cat, or you're going to keep a glass catfish differently than you're going to keep a ripsaw catfish. So if you know how to keep an aquarium, then you just tailor it to that specific catfish's needs. It's really hard to give you a more direct answer on such a massive category of fish. Right. Massive, like marine cat. There are marine catfish, and you keep them carefully because they are venomous. They will spike you with their fins, and you will swell, and you will feel bad.
You will have a bad time. Can you add catappa leaves to a tank that already has fish in it?
Of course. Yes. So my thing is, if you're going to start adding tannins in any form to a tank that has not yet had tannins in it, you got to be aware of what the tannins may do to the tank, and you just want to, in my opinion, add them in slow increments. So you don't want to just like, if you've got a 50-gallon tank, and to get the effect you're looking for, you want to stick 5 catappa leaves in there. You don't want to just throw them all in at once. I would just stick one at a time, or even if the tank's smaller, like half of a leaf at a time, whatever it is, until you get to the place you want to be at. Do it like on a weekly basis and slowly bring it up, because if all of a sudden you have this increase in tannin and this shift in acidity, that could disrupt something or make your fish uncomfortable or make it hard for them to adjust depending on what's in there. So yeah, I like making any changes like that as slow as possible.
Will you be collaborating with Joey, King of DIY, again?
Balls in Joey's court. I know he's a busy guy. I know he's got his own thing going on. So I have not reached out to him again. He basically, when we did our collab, said that if his followers would like to see me on there some more, that he'd have me on. I have not heard from him since.
We had a good time,
Yeah.
though. It was a lot of fun doing
Oh, no,
it.
it was
So, I mean,
awesome.
we'd love to do it again.
Yeah, like even after we were done filming, we just stood around chatting.
Hung out for like an hour. Yeah,
it was
just
awesome.
talked with
Joe,
him and-
he was a lot of fun to hang out with. But I know he's really busy and he's got a ton of stuff going on. I'm sure everybody's after him. So I haven't bothered him. If he wants to do some more videos, he knows where I am.
And what may help that is if you guys are, sub to his stuff and watch his stuff, if comment, leave a comment saying, hey, collaborate again. And, and if he sees it enough, maybe he'll think, oh, okay, why not? So we'll kind of wait and see. But it was tons of fun the first time, and we would definitely
I'd
love
to
to
do it again.
So
for sure.
we'll see. Can I put my hand on aquarium when it's clean? I'm gonna assume
What? The
I'm
glass?
assuming it maybe means in the aquarium if his hand is clean. Can I put my hand in the aquarium when it's clean?
As long as your hand does not have any soap residue or anything else. Like clean can be subjective. If you just put hand sanitizer on, don't put your hands in your tank. Your hands could be clean, but that's not good for the fish. So you need to use a soap that's not going to leave residue on your hand, number one, and rinse your hands thoroughly before you even think about putting them in the tank. They got to be not only clean, but also just have no chemicals or anything on them. That could be hand cream, hairspray, cologne, motor oil. I don't know what you do. But yeah, they have to just have nothing on them, just skin.
All right. I cleaned my tank, and about 2 days later, the water got extremely murky and green. Any ideas for what to do? Plus, hi from South Africa.
Hey! South Africa's a long way away.
Murky green water.
Okay.
Here's
a question. When you say you cleaned your tank, did you do a water change? Because if you just mucked everything up in the tank, like cleaned the glass and, maybe rubbed off algae on the ornaments and stuff, all of that would just be floating in the water, and you could just be essentially releasing nutrients and making nutrients easier to access for waterborne algae or any algae that's in the tank, really. And that could cause that kind of an effect. If you did a water change and sucked all that stuff out, you shouldn't end up having a explosion of waterborne algae or green water unless the municipality where you live has added phosphate or something else to the water through a cleaning process. A lot of the times some of these extra chemicals don't make their way through the system right away, and you could just be doing a water change like at the right time when they've added a bunch of something to the municipal water, and then that just went into your tank, and that's what caused the bloom. But either way, I would just probably keep the light off on the tank for a couple days unless you have live plants that you're keeping alive, and just do a decent sized water change to try to mitigate whatever was in the water. You may also want to just test your tap water for nitrate and phosphate before you do that, in case there are high levels of that in the water. You could even try ammonia, although ammonia is not often in tap water. It can sometimes happen. So check your tap water if you did do a water change and then this happened. If you didn't do a water change and you just messed everything up in the tank, then do a decent sized water change anytime you do that to prevent this kind of thing from happening, because you're just freeing up a bunch of nutrients in the tank by disturbing it all.
I'd like to move my betta from his 2.5 gallon to a 5 gallon.
Yay!
Any tips for moving to a bigger tank?
Yeah. What I would do is get the 5 gallon, basically get everything set up and running for a day or two before you want to do the swap, and then take half the water out of the 5 gallon and take all of the water from the 2 gallon and your beta and move that over. You want to make sure that the temperature between the two tanks is identical, and you want to try to match your pH and your hardness as closely as possible as well. And then it's like getting a 50% water change for the beta, essentially, at that point. You can also take whatever filtration you have on the 2.5 gallon and move that over to the 5 gallon, or even just the media, so the 5 gallon filter. But you could run both the filters simultaneously for a couple of weeks. That allows a 5 gallon filter to catch up, and then you can get rid of the 2.5 gallon filter altogether after that.
Awesome.
Hey, Maddie's here. How's it going?
She was saying earlier that she hasn't seen our last few streams, and she said shame on her, which I agree with.
Brian, there's no shame.
Shame on you. But you're here now, so we
That's
missed you.
what matters.
We missed you, and we're happy to see you again.
Welcome back.
She's asking about the P.O. box. I'm letting her know hopefully soon.
Oh,
I've been looking into pricing for it, so
yeah.
We're going to look into that. And again, we'll notify you as soon as possible, because it would be cool that she wants to send you candies. And
I would love that.
Hello from Greece.
Hello.
Cardinal neon tetras and fin rot. Cure?
Medication.
Medicate.
Specific for fin rot. Which one? I'm not great with medication. I don't want to steer you in the wrong direction, so I'm going to throw to my support team, who's going to want to see pictures of your fish most likely anyways, and probably have a conversation on the phone with you or through email, because usually it's a bit of a discourse when we're trying to diagnose and properly treat fish. Can't really do that in this format. It's not very easy. So contact them and we'll do everything we can to get your fish sorted out and to get your aquarium back on its feet and happy and healthy and swimming off into the sunset.
Okay.
As
you often say. Well, I think we'll take a quick break here. And jump.
Oh, okay.
And we'll jump to everyone's...
I'm like, what do you mean break?
A quick break, if you will, starting now. Okay, so this week, it's nothing super crazy. It's just kind of interesting.
Okay.
And a little inspiring, actually. Like, I was actually pretty impressed. I know a lot of people wouldn't go to these lengths, but I was pretty impressed by it. So I'm just going to bring up the headline to make sure I read it all perfectly so I don't mess it up. But essentially, a tiny goldfish weighing just 1 gram has become the UK's smallest ever surgery patient.
What?
As a vet removes a tumor from its belly in a 40-minute operation.
Oh my god.
So with that said, I grabbed some of the photos here for us to see. So this is an actual photo of the fish on the operating table. They're keeping him wet. They're keeping the water flowing. They've catheterized his mouth. And they took over 40 minutes. They removed a tumor. So we have a photo here. The owner actually...
That's not a goldfish.
No, it's not a gold. It says actually even the article says it's actually not a goldfish, but it's easily misrepresented as one. But so essentially, they had a little tumor. You can see there's a tumor on its belly.
Aww.
Yeah. So the fish was given to a couple by an elderly neighbor. They noticed this condition here, and so they instead of doing what I think a lot of people would just do, and that is saying goodbye to the fish, they decided, well, let's see what we can do for this little guy. So they took it in. They did this surgery, 40-minute surgery, and the fish set a record as being the smallest ever surgery patient in the United Kingdom. So
that's incredible.
Yeah, I thought that was kind of neat.
That's amazing. You can see there where now this is post-op.
This is post-op. Yeah, you can see there where they removed the actual tumor.
Right. So it looks like what they're doing is they're using a syringe with water to keep water flowing past the gills. You can see that. Although it's on a mat, underneath the mat, there is a almost like a grate or a drip plate that's allowing that water to just go down into it so they're not making a mess everywhere. Honestly, it's a pretty cool little surgery. Like that's really interesting. I wouldn't even be surprised if they had something in the actual water that they're flowing past its gills to also sedate it at the same time.
It was sedated.
Yeah.
And so they said that what they actually ended up doing is they after post surgery they then submerged it in oxygenated water.
Yeah.
And it started to kind of wake up and go, oh, what happened? And they took it home same day, and that was it. And it cost them less than 100 pounds.
Less than 100 pounds?
Less than 100 pounds in UK. It cost them less than 100 pounds for the whole surgery, which I thought was kind of bananas.
That's awesome.
Because if you look at the setup there, you would think like for the time. So that's good because I think that's what would stop a lot of people is if it was going to be like, $3,000 or pounds or whatever, you might think, should I? But because, it was fairly affordable and they saved this fish's life because I guess eventually that tumor would grow and it would lose the ability to kind of right itself and they would start to
it's not good to have, especially like fish having tumors is not good for them.
No,
usually it ends up being their demise eventually, but no, that's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty neat. And I see someone here said, I don't think my vet covers fish, but that is very cool. And actually what in this story, the vet was quoted as saying like, this vet does a lot of like exotic animals like lizards and whatnot. But they said we do fish and people just never really, they assume we don't and they don't bring them in. But they're saying, like if you have a fish that has a fish, bring it to us. Bring it to us and we do fish as well. So I mean, you never know. A lot of vets don't. I think it's usually going to be an exotic pet vet. It's not your typical vet.
Exactly.
But if you do have in your area an exotic pet veterinarian and you have a fish with an issue that you want fixed, it's worth calling, and finding out, because it may not be as expensive as you expect. And
even just getting the necessary medication, like medication in Canada for fish, for instance, has become pretty difficult to get your hands on, even for like livestock, like chickens and stuff. There are things that I used to be able to get last year that this year they just you're not allowed to do it anymore. So, but you can go to your veterinarian with your pet, your fish or whatever, and be like, hey, these are the problems I'm having. This is what I think I need to treat it. Even if they don't really know, it's not that hard for them to look up that sort of information. Like it's within their purview.
Sure, yeah. And they have resources that you might not have.
Exactly, and then be able to get you the medication you need that you wouldn't otherwise be able to get. So, and all it takes is a call to your vet to see if they do it. And if not, just look up an exotic vet in your general area, and then they can usually get you steered in the right direction.
Yeah, and then if you can save your fish, all the better, right? I mean, why not?
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that was what I learned this week.
That's amazing. It is a feel-good story, man.
It is a feel-good story. It's one of those things that good for them. They took the initiative and they had that guy fixed, and now he's good as new.
He's all better.
All better.
Little live bear.
Swimming off into the sunset.
Look like a little platy or a
actually, I think they actually, it's some kind of molly, they said.
There you go.
I forget the exact name of it. But
Sunset molly.
Yeah, from now on, it's a sunset molly.
I don't know.
All right, so Apex Fizz, super chat. Thank you so much, Apex Fizz.
Yeah!
Appreciate that. I recently got hired and fired from my local fish store for telling a customer to leave. They wanted to put fish together to watch them fight. If I wasn't fired, I would have quit. What would you have done?
Okay, I would never have told them to leave. Here's the deal. It is okay to educate. It's okay to refuse to sell an animal to somebody who's going to do something untoward with that animal. That is all fine. But you can't tell them to leave. The only time you can ever tell a customer to leave the store is if they're causing an issue that is dangerous for either the employees or the other customers or themselves. That's the only time it's okay to tell them to leave. You just cannot kick customers out of your store because you disagree with how they fundamentally feel and or think about the pets that you carry. It's unfortunate that they're there. You just can't kick them out.
Yeah, it's a tough situation.
Yeah, but I absolutely 100% would have at least talked to them about how wildly cruel it is to allow fish to fight each other. That is extremely detrimental to the fish themselves, that fish, like any other pet, cannot be seen as a disposable pet. There's no such thing as a disposable pet. And that, you should treat life with respect. And the fish that you carry at that store are there to bring people joy and happiness and not for placing bets. And that's the fact of the matter. And it's illegal to fight fish in most places, especially in North America. I can't think of anywhere where it's legal to fight any animal.
Right.
That's all been put to bed a long, long time ago. So, you absolutely should tell them that you're not going to sell them those fish, that fighting fish is not okay. If the store owner at that point where you were working was like, no, just sell them the fish, you've got a bigger issue. You can take that as far as you'd like it. You could literally record them saying it and take it to the police, and if they won't do anything, you can take it to local activist groups and have them deal with it. Ultimately, it's not okay.
It's a messed up thing to want to do.
Yeah, it is. The trickiest part of this whole situation is the more light that is brought to these negative things that a very small group of people do with fish and other animals and other pets, the more likely we are to have these privileges of keeping these animals taken away from us. So it's really unfortunate. Yeah. It's a really tough spot to be in. Should you have been fired? That's really up to the store owner. Telling customers to leave ultimately is not okay unless they're endangering themselves, other employees, or other customers.
Yeah, ultimately telling the management what's going on, letting them make that decision probably would have been the better call. Yeah. But at the same time, you are obviously very passionate, which is a good thing. You've got a great moral compass, which is great. But in terms of like sheer employment and the policy they have,
not a good move for your employment, but definitely morally the correct correct mindset to have. So I appreciate the situation you were put in. And I'm sorry you lost your job over it, but
'Cause
ultimately I agree with what you're saying.
The same guy that maybe last week before said, I got a job. Do you have any advice? And I believe it's the same viewer. So it's a bummer to hear that you're not working there anymore. But I guess, there are worse circumstances under which to, you did something ultimately well-intentioned. So, sorry to hear that. But, best of luck, and hopefully you'll find something else. Another local fish store, hopefully.
Open your own fish store.
Open your own fish store, yeah. And then you'll never get fired. You can fire other people. No, you should. But anyway, I digress. How can we plant in gravel?
You basically plant in gravel in the same way you'd plant in any substrate. The tricky part with gravel is it's like just pea gravel is inert, and it's not very porous. So it's not very good for transporting nutrients to the roots of plants. So I would focus on plants that don't truly need to root in gravel or have robust root systems that aren't going to be difficult to plant. Like obviously planting a carpeting plant like dwarf baby tears in gravel is going to be very difficult. Probably close to impossible because their roots are so fine and so small and so delicate. There's just no way for that thick material to grasp them properly. But things like Anubias, where the rhizome is going to sit above the gravel anyways, and their roots are extremely tough. You could easily drop that down into gravel and have that gravel pile onto the roots, and the plant's not going to come up, and the roots aren't going to get damaged from the gravel. And on top of that, because it's a rhizome plant, it's used to obtaining its nutrients not from the substrate, but from whatever the water column is providing them, and whatever material they've attached to, whether it's a piece of driftwood or a rock or whatever. So things like Java fern, Java moss, Anubias, Bucephalandra, those kinds of plants.
Someone here says vals and gravel.
I was going to say vals are also fine. They're all very, very easy to plant in gravel. Vals, again, fairly robust root system, very easy to grow plant, not very picky. So that's another great plant. A lot of swords can deal with it just fine. A lot of lotus plants can deal with it pretty well. But what I would do if you are going to do that is use root tabs, which a few companies make. Seachem makes a really decent one. And these root tabs are just little pucks, and you basically bury them under the gravel near the plants and their root systems, and that will help release nutrients to the roots where those plants are, since the gravel is, again, inert. So that's a good kind of hack or cheat to get around having a proper planted substrate for plants that can handle being in pea gravel. Their roots are robust enough, you can still get the nutrients delivered to their root system.
Awesome. How many dwarf gourami can you put in a 160-liter tank? It's about 42 gallons.
Yes. Dwarf gouramis in a 40-ish gallon tank, you probably do like, 6. As long as they're not
ballpark
beating the snot out of each other. Yeah, 6 would be a comfy number. I'm assuming you're having other fish in there too, right? Like other schooling fish or smaller fish. But just a comfy number of gouramis, dwarf gouramis, I'd say you'd be pretty well at home with 6.
Great. What fish go well with angels?
Fish that are fast enough to get away from them and big enough not to be eaten by them. So angels are essentially a cichlid. And they get fairly large, and they will try to eat things that come close to fitting in their mouth, even if they don't. I've had them try to take out full-grown, like a full-grown angel, try to take out full-grown black neon tetras, which are not a tiny tetra when they're adults, right? But they try, and they'll end up killing them doing it. It sucks. So I would suggest fish that are going to be a little bit larger and that are quick. So danios are usually a pretty decent fish. Like zebra danios are fast. They usually stay out of the way. They're topwater fish for the most part. They tend to be in the upper regions of the tank rather than the lower region. Angels are kind of a midwater fish for the most part. Barbs are probably a good bet. Tiger barbs would probably be all right. Angels are pretty robust. Barbs shouldn't be picking on them, but are also aggressive enough that they'll hold their own against larger fish like angels. Catfish, bottom feeders, angels tend not to care much about them. But I'd avoid things that are like small and delicate, like galaxy rasboras or small neon tetras and stuff like that. if you've got adult angels, there's a good chance they're going to get nipped at. If you're starting off with young angels, like itty bitty guys, and you want to throw in a school of mid to full grown rummy nose tetras, there's a pretty solid chance that as those angels grow, they're just going to see whatever food you offer them as food, and they'll probably leave the fish alone. But if you've got big fish to start off, you got to stick other big fish with them. Otherwise, they're probably going to try to eat them.
Cool. All right. Next up, have 2 male and 2 female cherry barbs, but they're a little aggressive. The males are a little aggressive towards females. Is it normal?
Yes, they want the lovin'. They're not so much aggressive as they are being like, huh? What about now? Huh? What about now? You want to do it now?
Nature doing its
huh?
thing?
You want to do it now? Just get more females. That's the easy. Like, this is almost like my situation with my chickens. So roosters are known for being very aggressive when it comes to breeding. So what you do is you offset the amount of roosters versus the amount of hens. That way no one hen is being brutalized all day long, right? So 1 rooster, 6 hens, 1 rooster, 8 hens, 1 rooster, 10 hens. Same idea with fish like cherry barbs, right? If you can either go all males, which a lot of people like just because the males are the really, really bright, pretty red fish. The females don't get quite that colorful, right? They're more of like a copper color. Or you have, 3 or 4 males and like 12 females so that there isn't individual females getting picked on all the time.
Spread it out a little bit,
Yeah. So same idea like when you're adding new fish to a tank with like African cichlids or something. You don't want to have a group of established African cichlids in a tank and then throw in 1 new fish. It's going to get picked on, right? You would want to add a bunch of new fish so the aggression is dispersed. It's the same idea. You want that, eager loving from those fish to be dispersed amongst more of them so that you're less likely to have any individual female taking the brunt of that attention. Animals.
It's just the way nature works.
Yeah, just they're just trying to, make their genetics go on, and the females are just trying not to get hurt in the process.
It's the way it's been happening for billions of years. All right.
Mother Nature.
Mother Nature. Super chat from my main man, Alex, my neighbor. He's saying, having fun here. You're so close, Brian. We're close.
So close.
We are less than 500 subscribers away from the 100,000 subscriber mark.
And then we can give away all that stuff.
Then we had someone else ask, when are you doing the 100K giveaway? When we hit 100K.
Yep.
And we're getting there. We should be there.
And the next week even.
Within the next week. So I know we have the team at the office right now. They're just getting the final things prepped for it, like all the design stuff for everything you need for this kind of thing. They're working hard to get that done. We've been working hard on our end to get everything prepped and ready. And we are so close. So within the next week, expect to see that go live. We'll make sure to in our next live stream, or even we'll do a video on it as well, and community post. We'll do anything we can to get you to that landing page where you can watch our little video that explains it if you want a refresher. And then basically how it's going to work, real simple. You're going to see the video of Thomas talking about all the stuff we're giving away, and then underneath the video you like sign in with like a social or YouTube or whatever you want, and then there's like 33 different options, and you can do them all. You can do as many as you want, or as
some of
few
them
as
are
you
daily.
Want. Some are daily. Some of them are worth more entries than others. So there's so many ways that you can get entries because it's multiple. You just do as many as you can, and that increases your chances of getting picked for something. So that's what you'll see, all these different methods, and you kind of click, okay, do this, and it automatically will enter you. And then at the end, it'll be one big random draw. So it's going to be so fun. I'm really excited for it. And then what we're going to do is once that draw, we're going to run it for like around 2 weeks, I think. And then we're going to have a live stream like this where we can announce the winners live, maybe even give some other stuff away live, just to amp it up a little bit more. It's going to be a lot of fun. We have a lot of fun plans. So
it's going to be awesome.
In the next week, I would say expect that to hit the ground running, and be prepared to every day do whatever you got to do for more entries, and it'll be a lot of fun. We've got like 60, 65 prizes. 70 prizes,
we've got a lot of prizes.
A lot of prizes.
Some of them are just massive.
And just a wide array of stuff. So yeah, we're super close. Alex, thank you so much for that super chat. We do appreciate all you guys who send those and support us. We do really appreciate that. Let's get back to a couple questions here. Hello, how long should you run a tank fish list to starve parasites and how to eradicate bryopsis?
2 questions. That's cheating.
Oh.
Okay.
I assumed it was how, like, maybe you're running the tank to starve parasites and eradicate, but I didn't know it was 2 questions.
No, that's just cheating. But whatever. All right.
You gamed the system.
You did. So most people think you should go fallow for at least a month. I would say go 2 months. Just if you're gonna do it, just do it for 2 months and call it a day. After that, there should be nothing left in the system in terms of parasites. I don't know of any other parasites that can go more than 60 days without a host. Some people, I think, even go fallow for 90 days. That's just crazy. Anyways, so yeah, I would do 2 months. But as far as bryopsis goes, there are so many ways to tackle bryopsis. None of them are like simple or easy or just like a one quick turnkey solution. I'm going to be honest. For me, getting rid of bryopsis has always been a bit of manual removal as well as having cleanup crew. And that's basically all I've personally done to get rid of bryopsis. You try to catch it early enough that it doesn't end up everywhere in the tank. I mean, if your tank is covered in bryopsis, you are almost better just starting over if like all of your rock work has bryopsis on it. It is a terrible resilient algae. So manually remove as much as you can. Trying to remember, I don't know how big your tank is, but if you have a big enough tank for you probably don't, but whatever. For a Vlamingi tanks are pretty excellent at eating just about everything. Algae wise, I've seen them eat bubble algae. Abalone or abalone can be a pretty good cleanup. Snail. A lot of people like sea hares, although they will starve if you use them for removal and then have no algae left. They'll just die. So some people or some stores will like rent sea hares to you. You buy it and then you just bring it back when you're done. And
really?
Then they give you a credit.
That's cool.
It's specifically because otherwise, like, you run out of algae and then you're just gonna let the thing waste away.
Yeah.
But yeah, so yeah, there's some options for you. Good luck. That bryopsis sucks. There are chemicals people use too. I can't remember the name of it, but if you Google like chemical to kill bryopsis, I'm sure it'll come up.
Awesome. Apex Fizz, another super chat, so thank you so much.
Thank you.
He says, "Hey guys, thanks for the advice. Hindsight is 2020." Absolutely. Yeah. So I was wondering, apart from that, if there's any other output nozzles for the FX4. It's hard finding something to fit. Thank you for your time.
I don't like Fluval's tubing very much. Their ribbed tubing does make it very difficult to put anything onto their tubing that isn't a Fluval product. For that reason, I usually recommend to people to swap out to a non-Fluval branded tubing, and then you can stick whatever the heck you want on the end of it. So that's my suggestion.
You gotta just hack your Fluval and
stop using the rib tubing and switch to just standard, like Eheim tubing is fine. Any clear tubing from Lee's, it doesn't matter. The rib tubing's nice because it holds its shape really well, but it's not nice because it is textured on the inside. It can trap debris. It messes with flow pattern a little bit as water goes through it. And it makes it really difficult to stick any aftermarket. Like if you want a flow swing on there from Aquatic Life to like spread the flow across the tank back and forth, or if you want a spray bar instead of just a duck bill. Yeah, they just make it so hard to switch out to anything else. So don't blame you. It is tough.
Jeffrey Jr. with a super chat. Thank you, Jeffrey Jr. How many fancy goldfish can I put in a 55-gallon?
One! Why?
I have a feeling he wasn't hoping for that answer.
Look, the problem with fancy goldfish is even that small little telescope eye you're looking at is going to get like this. And they are poop machines. My honest answer is, honestly, I wouldn't put more than 2 full-grown goldfish into a 55. And the thing is, you'll get them small and be like, oh, I can fit 20, but then they're going to just poop themselves to death in there or stunt growth and not grow properly and or die young. And there's just so many problems with it. So if you really want fancy goldfish, I wouldn't go for any more than 2 nice, big, robust, fancy goldfish. That's just my opinion.
All right, next question. We have some people in the comments saying, "Oh, well, you're not going to ever get to my question. I'm waiting." I'm sorry. We do want to get to your questions, but we do run in sequence.
You just got to show up the second the stream hits.
Yeah, every 2 weeks, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you're here at 11 and you put your question in the chat, we will...
Or super chat. I don't even care if it's a 50-cent super chat. I don't know how small you can go.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Whatever the minimum is. You don't have to, just that'll bump you up.
Yeah, if you want to do that. But my advice is arrive at 11 a.m. And put your question in the chat right away, and we can get to it.
Yeah. We do as much as we can. I try not to drone on. Sometimes I do. And I apologize for that. But
sometimes it's very helpful.
I'm trying to give everybody the right amount of attention.
I have a 35-gallon tank with full
covered?
Full covered carpet, I guess.
Sure.
How many fish can I put there? I have an Aqua One 700 canister filter.
I don't know that filter, so I couldn't really say much. But a 35-gallon, how many fish is going to depend a lot on what kind of fish. You could have 35 fish or you could have 1 fish. So you give me an idea of what you want to keep, and I can probably narrow it down for you. But you could do, 20 neon tetras and a gourami and something else or whatever. It really depends on what you want to stick in there.
All right, next up, should I keep getting ISTA bottles for, I guess that's supposed to be CO2, or get a new regulator and bigger container?
That is up to you. I'm always a fan of using refillable stuff. So I would go refillable. ISTA also has refillable stuff, like the one I use on the high-tech tank. Those are refillable. So you're not, throwing metal canisters away. Just cut down the amount of waste, I guess.
Yeah, that would be...
They last longer, too. But if you wanted to get a new regulator that fits a standard CO2 bottle and go get a 20-pound standard CO2 bottle or a 10-pound or a 5-pound, they will definitely last you a lot longer than any of the ISTA bottles, which are quite a bit smaller. I think the largest ISTA bottle I've got is 2 liters? 1 liter. 1.5 liter. 1.5 liter is the largest one, I think. So 10-pound bottle or a 5-pound bottle is much bigger. Much. 20-pound bottles are huge. But hey, then you're not running out to the store with a bottle very often.
All right, I have, of course, the YouTube chat jumps around on me here, and it jumped to the bottom. Let me find where I was. If I can. No, I can't. Oh, shoot. Then I guess
I saw Thomas in capital letters. What's that about?
I don't know. There's a lot of those. Let's be honest. A lot of people want your question.
There's Apex Fizz.
Yeah, that was the super chat, so I think the chat refreshed and I lost my spot. Because we get so many questions that we end up it ends up refreshing, and then I lose my spot, and that's not great.
Mary S., don't retract your messages.
Mary S. Okay, well, maybe I lost it. Well, you know what? It is just after
we're
one
almost,
anyway.
Yeah, we're
it's
almost
about
done.
the end of it anyway. So
just pick one at random. You know what? Go to the bottom and pick the first one from the bottom up.
Oh, then we'll have a revolt on our hands.
Who cares? That's what we'll do for the last question every day.
Yeah, okay. You know, it's not a terrible idea. Let's do that then.
As long as there are no other super chats we're obligated to do, then
no, we got no more super chats there. Okay. No, that's not a question. Best place to get Indian almond leaves.
I have no idea. Pick a different question.
What's a bristleworm?
What's a bristleworm? That's a great question. So, okay, that was great.
Someone asked what's the best way to get rid of a bristleworm, and someone said, what's a bristleworm?
Okay, so both of those. Bristleworms, probably the easiest way is to get a predator that will actually eat bristleworms. That's the most hands-off way to control population. The other way, which I've done a bunch of times, is you get a bristleworm trap. You could even make one. And what it is, it's a container with little holes in the side of it. Sometimes they're made out of glass. And what you do, I'll get to that after. And what you do is you put food in there, and essentially at night, overnight, with that container in there and the food that's in there and those little holes, the bristleworms can get up into the container and then down to where the food is, and they'll just all hang out there eating the food. And then usually by morning, you can just pull it out and you've got a container full of bristleworms. It's the long and short of it. What is a bristleworm? In marine environments, bristleworms are small worms. They have a lot of bristles down their sides. They're essentially like fiberglass pins that stick out of their sides for defense. and somewhat for locomotion, but that way when things try to grab them or eat them, they like spike into those things. And it makes them less palatable, and unless you've got a bony mouth and a bony throat and a bony tongue and a stomach made of iron, like apparently some of these fish do, they're just not edible. So that's what they are. Another critter that eats them, I gotta stop hitting the table, is arrowhead crabs are known to eat bristleworms, I believe. There are all kinds of bristleworm predators, so just have a look out there on the interwebs for bristleworm predators. You could add some of those as long as they won't disrupt anything else in the tank, or do the container method I told you about, which will also help dwindle down the population. Now here's the thing, they're not bad. Bristleworms are detrivores for the most part, so you're not really going to have an issue with having so many bristleworms that things are not going right in the tank. People usually just don't like them because they're eerie and ugly and weird. I think they're cute and not weird. They are just a worm with fuzzy sides. They're like little panda-sided worms. They need snuggles, but don't snuggle them.
Don't snuggle
because it's like fiberglass and it's not fun to get out of your hands. But mental snuggles. They're helping. They're literally converting waste for you in the tank. They are detrivores. They are fine. Chill.
Leave them be if you can stand them be.
Yeah, I mean, if you've got tons and tons and you just want to reduce the population, the container method works well.
Cool.
All right.
Okay, Lightside.
Thank you, Lightside, for your
with a
super chat.
Yeah. Good day.
Good day, mate.
What would you recommend to feed autosyncluses or autosyncli? What's the plural of autosynclus? Autosyncli. We'll go with autosyncli. I've tried green beans, Hikari, and API algae wafers, but what would you recommend to feed them?
Anything and everything veggie based that they will eat is probably a good idea. So you're off to the right start, making sure that you've got a lot of stuff in them. I'm not an autosynclus expert, and I could be conflating or mixing up things I've heard between plecos as well. So double check this, vet me on this on the internet afterwards. But I bet you they'd probably do pretty good on peas, like green peas. And possibly like blanched bell peppers may also be a good food for them. But you please double check that. I'm not an autosynclus expert.
Research, give it a shot.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe let us know. Okay, well, we have someone here saying they just started the fish keeping hobby 2 months ago.
Welcome to the fish keeping hobby. It is lots of fun. Get quirky with it. Wear funny shirts like me.
That's a pretty awesome shirt, by the way.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, no, me too.
It's all about how you feel on the inside.
Now I'm wondering, did someone put the fin on the fish, or did the fish put it on because it just likes it?
I guess we could spin them both. This could be a kid at his local lake trying to scare his friends with the world's smallest shark.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Or it could be this fish who's like, nah, I'm big stuff. Look at me. I'm not afraid.
I love that shirt.
Come get me.
Regardless, I love it. Okay, we will answer at random one more question. One more. I'll pick at random through this whole list. One more question. But first, I do want to remind you guys that the 100K is coming up.
It is.
Push us there.
Yes.
Share us anywhere you can. Tell if you're talking to someone at your local fish store about anything, and say, oh, have you guys seen
that weird guy with the long hair?
Yeah, the Big Al's channel with the big guy with the long hair. It's a great channel. Share it with them. Go on Reddit or social or whatever you do. Share us around because we do want to grow as fast as we can and help you guys and do awesome projects.
And we appreciate it.
Anything you guys do always makes us feel warm and fuzzy. So make sure you do that. Again, the sooner we get to 100K, the better for you. Especially. So do that. What else do I want to say? You can support us in a lot of ways. Subscribing is one of them. Commenting, liking everything, showing up for the super chats. And then obviously if you want to visit bigalspets.com and pick up anything you need for the hobby there, that would be greatly appreciated. If you live by one of our super centers, drop in. We got our tent sale happening this weekend at all of our tent and sidewalk sales. So if you want to check that out, you can do that too. But mostly just share our channel, I think, because we want to grow and get giant. And the bigger we get, the crazier stuff we can do.
Yes.
And maybe the more things we can
leverage.
Do. Yes, indeed. So that would be always very appreciated. That is about it for me. Oh, I want to talk about React real quick.
Okay.
And I want to talk about actually our variety show that we did last week.
That was fun.
We had a lot of positive reaction to that. A lot of people really liked the variety format because it was 2 hours of React, Q&A, product demo. What did Brian learn this week?
We did.
So it's a lot packed in. So we're going to start doing more of those, I think, which is great, and that'll help get React the React series rolling because that's it. Right now my inbox
I don't even want to know the number.
Has over 1,100 fresh new emails with photos of people who want us to react.
Gosh.
1,100, and our episodes are like
15 at a time.
No less.
No, not even like 7 or 8.
And we have over 1,000. We have 1,100. So we are getting to them. If you sent them in, like we're working on ones from.
We'd
last
have to do
year.
100 just to get.
We'd have to do a lot. So I'm thinking we're going to start doing maybe in place of the Q&A, maybe
we'll start the variety show.
We start doing the variety show. Maybe not every single time we do a Q&A, but maybe like once a month we'll have one Q&A and then one variety show. And
that includes Q&A anyways.
That includes Q&A anyways, but then also adds in some of that. So if you did send in a React or you've been wanting to, you can still do it, but just please realize there's a giant backlog, and the only way to clear that is if I just ignore it and we start fresh. But I don't want to do that. So anyway, that's I just wanted to quickly address that for anyone who's curious about the React, because I know there's always people wondering. So yeah, that's it. With all that said, let's do one more question.
Okay.
You ready?
Yeah.
All right. I'm just gonna scroll randomly. Up and down, up and down. That's okay. We answered that one. That's a super chat. Okay. Can 2 silver dollar live in a 30-gallon fish tank with other fish?
They get way too big. What is with people wanting to stick fish that get big into tiny little tanks? No, they can't. Look at the adult size of a silver dollar. There's different types of silver dollars too, but look at the adult size. Like, they are not a small fish. They will essentially be touching, like if they try to turn around, they're gonna like almost be touching the sides of the tank. Not a good idea. There's lots of other fish that are silvery and small that you could do.
There you have it.
Hatchet fish. Marbled hatchets. Beautiful.
Someone sings tiny fish in a big tank. I don't want to sing it though. He can sing it. All right, cool. Well, I guess that's about it. Yeah, with somebody saying love the variety show. Okay, so I guess the next stream are like
big fish in a tiny tank. That is right.
Every 2 weeks we do these live streams. So 2 weeks from now we'll have another one, but I guess the next one we'll do a variety.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we'll do that. So make sure you guys show up for that. Let everyone know about it. The more people that show up, the bigger of a party that's going to be. It's always a lot of fun for us. Yeah, so we'll do that.
We actually have to have food when we do those.
Yeah, we have to sustain ourselves in some way, shape, or form. Actually, Mave asked what happened to donuts. What happened to donuts for Brian?
Oh, Brian got full of donuts.
Ample. I got way too
many
donuts.
I got my tacos for Thomas.
You got tacos. That was all done. So we're waiting for the next thing. We're not sure what it's going to be, but so that was taken care of. But that said, show up 2 weeks from now. Actually, we do that one earlier. The variety show we did earlier last time, but we can probably keep it at 11 a.m. Huh? What do you? We'll decide. We'll let you know. We'll let you know.
Do you guys want it to start earlier, or do you like 11? Like if the Q&As are
11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
I think the other one we did at 10 a.m.
10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Yeah, so let us know real quick if you guys like, if you prefer the earlier, the later, whatever works better for everyone. We want to do that. But it was earlier. Someone says
earlier.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll give it a shot. Someone else says 11. So all right, well we'll see if there's a. You know what? I'll put a poll in our community tab, guys. Check that out later today. I'm going to put that up as soon as the stream is over.
So far, 11 is winning.
So far, it's winning. I'll put it up in the poll, and you guys can vote there, and whatever wins. But so far,
pizza party. You know what? I would be
bad
down.
idea.
I was thinking even just like a big bowl of like a variety mix, like a mixed. You know what I mean, like pretzels and all that stuff?
Yeah, that's not bad. You know, actually, here in Nova Scotia, in downtown Halifax, there's actually a Big Al's Pizza.
Really?
There's a Big Al's Pizza place.
Big Al's Pizza.
So I'm wondering if they'll send us pizza for free if
we talk about pizza.
Anyway, okay. Well, we'll plan that, and keep an eye on the community post, guys, and I'll update you guys there, and you guys can vote on the time, and we'll kind of figure that out for the variety shows. Lots of exciting stuff though.
Yeah.
Is the takeaway here? We have lots of cool stuff coming.
Ice cream bar. I wish.
Oh yeah. Well, that's. I mean, we can do that.
It's just...
It doesn't have to be high tech. It just be a bunch of ice cream containers.
Sushi, Mate. Read my mind.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea either. Okay, well we'll play with it.
Yeah.
Each one will do something different. Anyway, okay. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I think we'll call it there. We do really appreciate all the super chats, all the questions, the support, all the likes, everything you guys do for us makes us feel pretty great right here. So with all that said and done, I got nothing left to say. What about you?
Oh, just my usual. Keep on tanking.